what I've got here is, I have to read this out. This is what I think it is. Robert Williamson's London, a late 17th century Ormula mounted ebony bracket clock with applied, surmounted by a caddy topped with applied pierced gilt mounted high. It's a little different to theirs, and it was sold for £12,000. Now I've seen other ones that are like $1 million, so I have no idea. They're embossed in the back more detailed in the back, but I have no idea where this exactly lies. But it's an expensive clock, and the back footing on it was damaged, which I'll show you here in a clip, and it had woodworms, so I had to repair that to bring this back to stand straight. And now we're going to look in some other issues with it, with some other broken parts, and they're small things, but we'll fix them up, like the door key. So, but I just wanted to let you know, this is 17th century clock, and it's a pricey one. So I'm sweating. I better get it back to normal. So basically when you put this key in, it goes everywhere. Now it doesn't work in the back lock, I don't know why yet, but we'll do this lock first. And it's because if we go around to the other side, I've got to turn on the light on that side. The pin is missing for the key to be centered, and we're just going to put a pin in there to fix this up. So let's get to it. So yeah, I've made a pin out of a nail here. I just got to find myself a file. Isn't that lovely? Oh, I hung them up last night. So I'm going to put a pin in the door here, and that'll center the key. You just got to solder it in. What we got to do is just make this nice and presentable. And we're going to solder it in the back here like this, in here like this, in this hole, solder it in there. I got to clean that paint off a little, center it, and then when we put this key in, the door will click open again, and it'll be lovely. And that'll be one of the locks done, and then we'll approach the other one. I just got to take a little bit of paint off this, otherwise the solder flux won't stick. So I'll just do that quickly, and then we'll solder. And there you can see the latch moving, right there. So it's perfect, and you bring the key around, and it comes out. So that's one latch done. We just need to paint that with a little bit of black, and it'll be lovely. This is the back lock. It's not doing anything. I don't know why. It has two screws here on the back of the door. So I'll just take the lock off and have a look. This key would need two steps in it. Let's try to get it focused there. But it only has one prong sticking out with a little step in it. But I saw the step inside, so I just dremeled it off, so it's a one-step process now. And you can take the key out and leave it like that. At least it's locking again. This is the back key working. She's locked, and then you can unlock. And we have the front one working, so we're both working now. I'm going to lock it for the time being so this doesn't fall open all the time. There we go. The clock all together, and then all of a sudden the hand started going up and not coming back up again. I didn't know what was going on. It kind of, look, it just falls when you attach it. So when it was coming up here, basically the hand didn't go anywhere, it just stayed there. So there's something missing here on the friction or something. It does turn, but it doesn't seem to have any friction. Nothing seems to hold it. So it just collapses back. Not too sure why yet. I'll need to have a look. I have to take these off actually. And this here and this here, and go underneath here and see why this just falls. I think there's a little clutch. Here we go. So this is the long hand, and the inner tube one where it's a bit damaged is the short hand. Now I epoxied onto the short hand, which was actually okay, onto this flange. Then all of a sudden this didn't have to have friction. It didn't have any friction. Now that's the long hand which does the minutes. So that was just flying around loosely. And I thought that's very strange. But if you look in behind here, this has a little bit of a tilt in it, facing up, which makes it like a pressure plate or a clutch. So it just rubs up against that and stops it from, stops this from just falling around all the time, right? And basically the wheel turns by the by this here, and by the friction, which is kind of interesting. So this is fixed, this shaft. So I think if I just push this out a little bit, it's going to have enough friction not to fly around all the time. So I hope that will work. So we'll just tweak this out a little bit and see what happens. Yes, so let me get something to point with. What happens here is this is all on the shaft, and there's a pressure plate behind this here. Oops, behind this here, in underneath here. That little pressure plate I bent out. That presses it up against this pin. And that's what makes this all turn. This pressure between these two plates. And the shaft then turns the hands. It's quite smart. So it is working again. Lucky me. I'm just going to leave this pin like that for a while and see if it does the whole hour on time. Then we can put it back together again, and we'll just hope nothing else goes wrong. Now one of my pins for the facial, you know, the lock pins, is down on the ground here, so I have to go find that or make a new one or the other. That happens. It's not the first time. Seems to be running again. It's running very fast, and that's because there's no pendulum on it. So, happy with that. Had a little scary moment there, but got over it. Yes, so I've taken this all out again. It's very simple. When it clicks here at the hour and chimes, it doesn't chime. It goes another 5 minutes to chime. And I think when I repaired the plate clutch that I may have moved the timing of the gong by a tooth or one or two teeth, and that put off the timing because it seemed to be okay before. So I'm just going to check that out and we'll see what we got. I'm just going to take the face off with the pins again. Third time, I think. Yeah, I have my moments. Learning, learning, learning. So, I'm just going to point this out. Whoop. Here, on this little cog, here's a pin. And when it's at the hour, it does a click, but this hasn't gone past. When this goes past, it does the chimes. So it's just a little out of sequence. Yeah, so I took this apart to fix that plate. But when I put it back together, I put this pin a little behind. Now it's at the hour and it strikes, but this needs to be released here. So all I gotta do is skip this ahead by 2 teeth or something and it should work. So we'll just do that quickly and we'll see if it actually chimes on the right time. So I moved it so it's just past this leverage here. Now we're going to see what happens when I go around the clock. So it's taking me about a half an hour to get this cog in line with the hour and this cog in line with the correct strikes at the center line. And so now it actually strikes correctly, I hope. Let's try it. I do this and then it doesn't work again. It's like jinxing me. There it is. 5, 6, 7. Was that 8? I don't know. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's perfect, right? So let's go to 9 to make sure. There she goes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lovely. I noticed some of the pins or nails that are kind of just shoved in, but this one down here was half out, which worries me. This pin down in here, I'll go down a little bit with the camera. Right in here, this pin was actually going into the shaft, which I really don't like. That's the spring load here. So I'm not too sure why that is, but I think I'm going to maybe make sure it doesn't come out so we don't have another issue. Somebody's been messing because there's a pin in here that doesn't look too great either. They look like little nails they're just shoved in. But you know, that's what old clocks are repaired 100 times over. It actually looks like the correct pin. It just seems to be not flat enough. I'll just flatten the head a bit so that it doesn't go through and we'll put it back in. So I'm just going to show you this. This is one of the pins there. Let's get it in the camera there. This is one of the pins and it goes in this back of this facial to hold it in. Now it's still loose. When you want to tap them in, just take a screwdriver and lay it on top of the pin and tap the screw. Don't tap the brass. And there you go, it's in. It's a simple method, but you avoid doing damage to the clock, which is really important. So this part of the clock has damage to it right in here on this cone to the smaller hand. So instead of soldering and taking everything apart and that, I just put a little bit of epoxy on the back of this here, just a tad. It actually helps form the shape of the cone, and I put it on and it will bond to that. And it won't touch any other hands or any of the clock or anything. Just the bushing it's on. That epoxy will dry, and if they're turning the clock and they knock it, it won't fall off or change. So it lasts quite a long time actually. Now this should go there. And if we're lucky, there's a little cone, a little spring, and our clock is back together and it should run this time dandy. Little washer, right? And then the little top cone, make sure it's pressed on, and then this little pin. It's actually hard to handle, actually it's so small. I've had quite a few of those in my time fly out. There she goes. Now she needs a tap down, same thing with the screwdriver, keep your hammer away from everything. That's through. And now we'll do the the test. I'm about to put the mechanism, this clock back in. This is the front, beautiful clock. Worth quite a bit of money from what I see on the internet. And then this goes up in here and into that dial there like that. And it sits on a bench here. And it's got to go over that way a little. There we go, that's where it's sat, I suppose. And then there's two hooks here. They go up underneath and come down off these bars here and go through this hole, and I tighten them up. So I'm just going to place those on. You know, the hooks, they hook around this bar on this and down through here and screw on. Yeah, so I have these old cork self-adhesive, you can get them in dollar stores, and I've just put them on the footings. And because this one footing's a little bit lopsided, it's maybe because of the warp here, it's got an extra couple of corks on just to level the clock off, clean off the bottom, and that's it. We are finished there. And I'm very happy with that. And now we're going to straighten the clock up nice and gently. Oops. Oh, heavy thing. There we go. She's sitting nicely. And now I'm going to polish out the whole clock. I might have to get a bit of urethane and black stain, mix it. And I'm going to polish the clock off, and it will be finished. We'll clean off the glass and everything. And it can go back to the owner, who's giving it to her son. It's an heirloom, so I'm very pleased with that. So back to work. I'm just giving the little final touches to the clock with my shallot and French black varnish kind of mixed. It's my own little mixture. Make it look really nice. And then all I gotta do is put on the four little tassels or towers or whatever you want to call them up top here, and she's done. And it needs glass cleaning as well, but that's just minor. Isn't that lovely? Clean as a whistle. I can't see much wrong with that now. Sometimes best is well left alone, whatever they say there. That's quite nice. You always find something, but it is an old clock and it does need some little dents still to make it look real in some little spots. So from a rotten foot woodworm, the whole corner of the back of the clock missing, to four nice legs, and both locks working again, and it oiled and tick-tocking nicely, purring really. The clock has just been touched up and finished and is ready to return to its owner, who's going to pass it on to her son because it's an heirloom and he would like to have it. So there you go. So thanks for watching the restoration shed, and we'll be back again with other clocks and other toys. Cheers.